Hello, everyone. I'm Tod Brody, Executive Director of the Marin Symphony. And as you know, we've had this series of conversation videos with our maestro, Alistair Neal, and a whole variety of Marin Symphony musicians. This week, we're doing something a little bit different. We have put out an online magazine, AVANTI, that I hope all of you enjoyed when the first issue came out in October. And we have another issue coming out in mid-December, and we wanted to feature one of our Marin Symphony musicians. One of the most interesting and accomplished musicians in the Marin Symphony is Ward Spangler, who's been playing in our percussion section since the 1980s. And there are so many things about Ward's life in music that we thought you'd be interested in hearing about. We decided to also feature him on this week's conversation so that you could get a little tease of what's going to be in our printed interview with Ward in AVANTI next month. So I'd like to welcome my guest, percussionist of the Marin Symphony, Ward Spangler. Hello, Ward.
Hello, Todd.
Very nice to see you. And it looks like you're surrounded by some of the tools of your trade. Good to see that too. And I know we'll be talking about those soon. So I wanted to start out, Ward, by asking you a little bit about your origins in music and where this all started for you. So are you from the Bay Area originally?
Yeah, I grew up here in the Bay Area, and the only people in my family that played music that I remember is my grandmother. She played organ and piano by ear, and rumor has it that she was a tambourine player in the Salvation Army band, because she grew up as a Salvation Armyist. And so I suppose that's kind of where I got it, but my parents loved music and listened to a lot of interesting music, mostly jazz. They liked the rock that my sister would bring home, and I picked up on that too. So around the time that I was in the 4th grade, that was the time of the Beach Boys and the Beatles, and I thought the drumming was going to be what I wanted to do. So I started in the 4th grade on the drums. And it was just fun. I just really enjoyed it, and I just kind of felt my way around. I didn't really know what I was doing, of course. If the teacher said anything about drumming, I went over my head. I don't know, but I just kept playing and picked everything up by, I'd say, pretty much self-teaching. And I would sit at the piano, not at the piano, but the teacher would sit at the piano, and I would be at the drum set, and he showed me how to do a simple beat, and I would just do a simple beat with him. And all of that just kind of grew to listening to all the music there in the 60s and 70s, being in bands in high school. I actually played in the school band all the way from the 4th grade through high school, but I could never read music.
Wow, so it was all percussion from you from the very beginning.
All percussion.
Next, and then, so when did the more formal study of music with learning to read and developing the skills to become a classical percussionist start to come into your life?
Believe it or not until college.
Okay.
I was lucky. I was playing in rock bands throughout high school, and I hooked up with these guys who were academically quite a bit more astute than I was musically. They listened to some far out music. They were much more into the avant-garde stuff. And even though they liked the rock, the Grateful Dead and all that stuff, they were listening to George Crumb and John Cage. And I thought, oh, okay, this is, I could hear where music was really going to be headed. So when I got to college, I went to Cal State Hayward, and I decided to be a music major. And I walked into the music building, and I heard people practicing, and that was novel as a way to play music. I said, what? These are actually people that are serious, because I was used to, people in my rock band, showing up late or missing rehearsals altogether, and that was very frustrating for me, because I was pumped to play. So in college, I really got the bug. And it was all that really crazy modern music, the atonal stuff. I love that, and I still love it. I mean, many people thought it was noise. It's a beautiful noise. I mean,
Well, you and I know better, right?
we know better, right? In fact, the very first time we met was right here in my studio with Heek Young Kim's piece, Oceans Are Rising or something
Okay,
like that.
I remember that. I didn't remember that was
That.
the first time we'd met, but yes.
Oh, well, that's the first time I remember as
Yeah.
a rehearsal here in my studio. But that kind of music I really, really loved. But I liked all different kinds of music too. And it was before that, actually, I went to Aspen, and all there the percussion players were really into orchestral music. And that's where I got the bug. And that's also where I met Kevin Neuhoff. We were both students at Aspen, and the concept of, I love to improvise and make up stuff, obviously, because I couldn't read music. But in college and at Aspen, the approach to really refine and read this stuff really intrigued me, and the challenge, I just love that. So I just kept working really hard, and I have total respect for these great musicians that read music. I mean, I'm just blown away to see my colleagues play in the orchestra and how fantastically gifted they are to be able to do that. And I still work to being able to do it. I mean, I can do it, but there's much, much more that I would really like to be able to do too at some point.
Well, you're modest about your skills, but it does occur to me that that refinement and that precision that is what we think of as orchestral percussion playing is kind of a different animal than playing in a rock band, or maybe even then playing a lot of contemporary music. I mean, I know there's contemporary music that has that element as well, but to get that last measure of polish and precision is something that doesn't happen accidentally. You have to make that choice, right?
Right. That being said, it's, if you think of some great violinist playing a concerto, or a flutist playing a beautiful flute concerto or something, or some really difficult piece, they don't sound like they're reading it. They sound like they're improvising it. And that, to me, is a sign of somebody that's really combined those elements of some sort of inspirational improvisation inside them with the written music. That is just notes on paper. It doesn't mean anything. It's only when you finally put it together that it starts to sound this magic. And so for me, improvisations really helped my orchestral playing.
Yeah. Well, that was my next question was, do you think you're better off for having started out as a musician by ear and improvising, and then bringing the music reading and more academic skills into the mix later than you would have been if you had done it the other way around?
Definitely for some instruments. For the drum set, which I started on, as a kid, you get on it. It's like learning how to ride a bike. There are many things that you struggle with for a few minutes, and then you're going. And the same thing with the drum set. You're struggling with the hands doing different things. But once you've got on the bike or on the drum set and those elements are going, it's really good. It becomes easier. As an adult, you start thinking, okay, now my right hand's going to do this, my left's going to do this, what this foot's going to do, and so all of this academic or this intellectualizing, it doesn't work.
No, and you'd be paralyzed.
But if I were going to be a really great mallet player on xylophone or marimba or anything, I think that early starting I think piano playing would have been really great. Like, think of the piano players, their brains are wired in a way that they see the whole keyboard and the notes, and it's something from when they're really young that they learn how to do, and not getting that when I was really young, I think had its pluses, but also some minuses.
Yeah. Well, I think that, what you talked about having all those different body parts doing the things they do and having that just kind of be built in. I mean, that's quite an accomplishment for the brain as well.